So hello Achiever, today I am in La Roya with a new awesome guest. He's Paul Lemberg and he's a growth strategist. He helps entrepreneurs to grow their business faster than they thought possible, and we will discover his strategies. Hello Paul.
Hi, David. Thanks
How
for
are
having
you?
me. I'm good.
Perfect. I have a lot of questions for you. I would like to know more about your strategies. How do you help someone to grow their business? For example, I have my own company. What you can do with me to help me to grow faster than I thought possible for me?
So no matter what it was, whatever that you're doing
Yeah.
is currently keeping you growing or having you grow as fast as you thought possible. So we're going to have to look outside of whatever it is that you're doing. And there's lots and lots of strategies, but all of my work is focused on revenue. It's not that I don't care about operations, but nobody ever got super wealthy by fixing their operations. So we're going to focus on what we can do with the existing customers. How do we monetize the existing customers? How can we sell them more things? How can we keep them buying for longer periods of time? How do we make transactions larger? That sort of stuff. And then while we're focusing on that, equally focus on new product or new customer development. So again, new lines of products, new markets, new channels, new ways of marketing to the same people, but in different ways. And then the third thing is once there's sufficient cash flow, to be able to always pour that cash flow, whatever is surplus gets poured back into marketing, every penny. So every penny goes back into marketing, and then when there's sufficient cash flow that you can't put any more into marketing, then you start looking for whom you can acquire so that you roll in their customer base, you roll in their product base. And so you start to create geometric growth like that. That's the basic strategy.
Okay, and do you have a target, a target, a kind of clients? What is your client? Who is your client?
It's easier to say who they're not. So the strategies that I've developed, I always ask people, it's like, do you think your business is special? And everybody says, well, of course my business is special. And the fact is, most businesses, they're just businesses. There's not anything special about them. Their technology is special. Their message might be special. How they do the thing they do, that's special. But the architecture of their business is never special. So the strategies I use will work for almost anybody, except they typically don't work for regulated businesses. So not securities brokers, not real estate brokers, not mortgage brokers, not customers like that, but just about everybody else. I work with a lot of medical and healthcare people. I work with a lot of service companies, software companies, other kinds of technology companies, manufacturers. I mean, it's a big range. It's just not those first group.
And it's very interesting for me because a lot of people in marketing say you have to be focused on one kind of clients. What is a niche for you? For example, do we have to use to find a niche, and how to find it if you think it's good?
So it would be foolish to say that having a niche is not good, right? A niche does some really powerful things for you. One, it allows you to focus your message. It allows you to clearly identify a strong message for people you want to reach. It allows you to build up expertise in their domains that you speak the language. You know, it's all good things. I focused for a number of years on software. I have a background in software development. I had and sold a couple of software companies. So I have a lot of background in software, and for a while I said, I have to have a niche. I'm going to focus on software. And I was very successful being the guy who grew small software companies. It was great. And then one day my niche collapsed. In the early 2000s, there was a thing called Y2K. Everybody thought that the technology world was going to end. All the elevators were going to stop, cars were going to stop in the streets, banks were going to shut down. So in 1998 and 99, software companies were going crazy. And then, all the way through the year 2000 and 2001, complex software sales fell off a cliff. They just stopped. So there was still some business to do, but I looked around and I said, you know what, this is not as interesting as it once was. And I started to develop my theories that the things that I was doing in those companies would apply really well to anybody who wanted them. So I kind of became the anti-niche guy. My niche is I work with CEOs. So I only work with CEOs, and I only work with CEOs of companies of, in a particular size range. So it's not really a niche so much, but there is a target there.
Okay.
And I know who I'm speaking to.
So, do you suggest to people to have this kind of? Do you suggest to use the CEOs to have this target?
Well, so you ask about like what's good about a niche. So the way I define a niche is a defined group of people who talk to each other, who communicate with each other, because that allows you to make your marketing more focused and you get them to do some of your marketing for you, right? They share with each other, where CEOs don't share so much. So, CEOs, how do you say this? CEOs tend to be lone wolves. They don't share, they don't hang out with each other. They're rough running their businesses. They don't have time to do those things. So it's kind of an empty niche. If you're building a business from scratch, without a doubt, focus on a niche because it conserves your marketing dollars. If you've got a broad front of marketing, it's expensive, right? If you're trying to compete with like a big company, if you're a small company, you're trying to compete with a big company, you try to compete across all their fronts, you can't, because they have more money than you do and they will outmarket you every single time. On the other hand, you might take your little $10,000 marketing budget and focus it down into a very tiny and sharp point and have impact. And with your $10,000 marketing budget in a very sharp point, you can outmarket somebody with a multi-million-dollar budget. So of course, have a niche. I just never went that way. So, yeah.
And how do we find? How do you know if someone has the good target when you work with someone? Let's imagine that you work with me. How do I know that my target is enough precise?
So for a few things. So for me, and it's philosophy more than anything else, you have to resonate with them, right? You've got to love your customer. If you don't love your customer, you should be doing something else with your life. So that's number one. You've got to love your target market. But now that you've said, that's sort of like, why do it otherwise? So you've got to love your target, but then there has to be enough of them, right? So that when you're out there doing business with them, there's enough money coming in. I meet companies who have defined a business where they could generate 50% of the sales in that market and it wouldn't be enough. Right? It's just not a big enough business. So whatever your goals are for your business, could your niche satisfy those goals? Then, are these people who spend money, and do they spend enough money on the kinds of things that you want? So if you answer those questions, you've got a pretty strong niche, right? You love them, there's enough of them, and they have money. I meet people all the time. They want to change the world, and they want to help people. That's their thing. They want to help people, and they target a target market. They could help these people, except they have no money. So, you could sell them, except they can't afford to buy what you've got. So it's nice to help them, but you can't make a living. So you don't want to work with broke people. You want to work with people who have enough money to buy the thing that you're selling. And I also like the idea that there's some competition in the niche. If there's no competition for what you do, it probably means nobody wants it. And I say that because whoever you are, you're probably not the smartest person in the whole world. Right? You're not the first person to ever think of something. So if there's no competition for what you already want to do, it's probably because nobody wants it. It's, again, not true in all cases, but I think true in a lot of cases. So that's how I define a niche. It's that you love them, that there's enough of them, that they want what you're selling, and that they have enough money to pay for it. Once you do that, you're pretty good. The last thing to make it a perfect niche is that there's a way to reach them. So remember, my niche, CEOs, they're hard to reach. You can show up at conferences where they gather, but that's pretty limited. Maybe you can be in Inc. magazine or Fast Company or Fortune, but it's limited. A good niche has a strong cohesion internally, and they talk to each other. They follow the same gurus or pundits. They read the same publications. They all attend the same seminars. There's an association of them where people belong to. They network together. If you have that internal cohesion, that's what makes a niche perfect.
Okay. And how do you reach the CEOs, for example, for you?
That's the hard part of doing what I do, because there's not a very clearly defined way to do it. So what I've done, over the years, I built a reputation. See, if you have a reputation, everything changes, because then people are attracted to you. And so I've been at this now for 18 years, doing what I do now. And over the course of 18 years, I've published 3 books. I've spoken thousands of times. I've had tens and tens of thousands of people in audiences, done I don't know how many interviews. So all of those things, you start to build up reputation. If you go to Google and there's 200,000 references, people can find you. And so, and that really was my strategy from the start. It just took a long time for that to play out. When I started doing what I do, my strategy was to get known, and I wrote about 90 articles. I don't know, between 80 and 90 articles. Wow. And I would just keep cranking out articles, and every article, and I sent it out through all the press channels, and they would get picked up in both small and large publications. And you just keep doing that, and after a while, people start running into you. And then someone sees your book and they go, oh, I heard of this guy. And somebody's on your newsletter, and then they get your book, and then they see you at a conference, and all those things build up credibility. So that's how I've reached CEOs. It's kind of a long-term plan to build up reputation.
So you wrote articles, right?
I wrote a lot of articles.
And how do you release that to? How do you send that to the press? I don't know how it works in the USA.
So it used to be that you did it by hand. You sent out faxes, you sent out letters, you stuffed things in envelopes. So now it's easier.
And how do you find the addresses? For example, if I want to do the same in the 6 months to build my reputation in the United States, what I have to do now?
So you target journalists and publications that are receptive to your message. So if you're talking about success, right? So success is a broad term, but that's good. And if you're talking about business success, that's one category. If you're talking about personal success, it's another category. And you do the research, you build up what we call a press list. So a press list is all the publications that would be receptive to your message. And then within those publications, say for instance, you want to write about personal success in a business context. So in the back of Fortune magazine, that's where they have those kinds of articles, right? So who are the guys who are the editors of those sections? So what are the publications? And then who are the editors? Then you do the same thing online with blogs. Who are the influential bloggers who are already blogging about the things that you care about? Right? So, a lot of the magazine market's been replaced by the blog market. But you got the blog market, the magazine market, and now you target individuals who are the editors or the people in your area. And then so what you do is you can find anybody's email address, and you're sending them your articles or your communications. That's one part of the strategy. And the other one is the notion of guest blogging, which is that you're going to find bloggers who resonate with your message and ask them if you can contribute. Now, you may want to do a step beforehand. So if you blog, you say you have a blog that you say, these people have influence and their message resonates with mine and they're going to like my stuff.
Yeah.
You go to their blog and you join the conversation. Say they have a post that you can comment on. You put in a good comment. That's it. You just comment. Now you're gone. Then you come back and there's another article and you comment on that one. And now you're gone. So in other words, you start to contribute. You're not asking for anything. You're just contributing. Then over the course of time, you might reach out and say, hey, I've been following your stuff. Now they know who you are because they read their own comments. And you say, I've been following your stuff. I have a piece that might really flow with your blog. And you ask if you can contribute. Now, because you've been contributing, they say yes. Then maybe now they're contributing on your blog and you start to build up a reputation that way. You do that online. You also do it in the print world or in the magazine world by pumping out articles and posts to them. You're also doing your own blogs. All these things start to work together. A friend of mine went from nothing to recently a $200,000 book advance. This is an unknown guy. So a $200,000 book advance for an unknown is a lot. And he did it all by joining other people's conversations and getting known through this kind of strategy. You can do the same thing on Twitter. You search for keywords of the things which are part of your topic. You find interesting conversations by people who are thought leaders, and you just join in their conversation. After a while, they pick up on you, and it starts to be that same virtuous circle, and you start to get known. Powerful strategy.
Okay, so articles for blog, and your own blog, and you write these three things in the same time, and you are building the foundation of your expertise, right?
Yeah, and also, I know you'd said you wanted to speak.
Yeah.
And that same strategy will get you speaking offers. It will get you people reaching out to you. And if not, you're reaching out to them. But now you're not a stranger. You're somebody who's been active in their community.
And when you write the article, do you add some picture of you? Do you add some, because you can read an article in the magazine, but usually I don't read the name of the author. Do you have a strategy to?
So it depends. More than if you're in somebody else's venue, then it's what they want, right? So if you're going to publish a piece in someone else's venue and they want your picture, you get to put your picture in. If they don't want your picture, you don't get a picture, right? So you do whatever you can to associate your image with your message. But at the same time, you get this idea of the resource box, which is, David LaRoche speaks on how to build self-confidence and personal power, right? And that's your tagline. And then you have a link back to your site. Paul Lemberg, international growth strategist, help entrepreneurs grow their businesses faster than they ever thought possible. Tagline, and then link back to my article or my sites. So it just depends upon what they allow. Whatever your publication is will have fairly defined rules.
And your headline is very powerful. Do you suggest for the people for your clients to work on this headline a lot?
Yes, yeah, because you asked me when we started, what's the one-liner, and it's a little early and I haven't had any coffee, but there's a one-liner, and when you put that one-liner out there, it's people like, oh, I get this guy, right? So if they get you, then it's easier for them to remember you.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if what you do, you ever meet somebody and they say, oh, yeah, it's really complicated. Right. And like your brain just shuts down immediately. It's like, well, it's complicated. I have other things to do. You're a nice person. Have a nice day. So you want it to be simple. Right. You want it to be simple.
And it's amazing, your sentence, because you talk to the person, not only expert on growth strategist. You say, I don't know how to say that in English, but it's not only a title. You are directly explaining what you are doing. Do you suggest to do something like that? For example, David LaRoche helping people to take actions more than they imagined, something like that.
Yes. So here's the thing. The key is that the thing that describes you should speak a benefit. As opposed to, it's not a description of you, because the description of you is boring. People say, oh, David LaRoche, PhD, CSP, NCSE, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, I don't care. What do you do? How do you help me? So what it should be is all about the benefit that you present to who's ever listening to your message, right? How's this going to help me? Because I don't really care about so-and-so spent 15 years at the Department of Agriculture developing the next da-da-da-da-da. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But if you say, oh, you help people build self-confidence and take action to get results faster than they ever considered. Like, oh, well, that's interesting, self-confidence. Do I need that or not? If I don't need it, fine. Very nice to meet you. But if I'm feeling like, wow, my confidence could use a boost, now I want to talk to you. Yeah. And wow, be in action. God, if I could stop procrastinating, that would be amazing. Wow, I really want to talk to you. Right? So it's got a benefit. Like, how's this going to help me? Self-confidence and action to make more money in your chosen field. Oh, wow. Right? So now you've grabbed me. Oh, you have something I want.
And do you use that when you speak? For example, I forget what you said to me when I met you. So do you use that to present yourself?
So I have an official bio, that people read when they're introducing me on stage. And the first line is Paul Lemberg.
When you speak to some in the street, for example.
Oh, yes. So again, depends on my conversation. If I don't want to have a conversation, I say I'm a management consultant. And then they go, and then they're gone. But if I want to speak to somebody, then I say something more intriguing, like what I just said.
Okay.
Because if you tell somebody you're a management consultant or a business coach or a certified public accountant, it's their eyes roll up in their head and they're done. you know, I'm an undertaker. Oh, okay, I don't need one of those right now. So boom, I'm gone. Right, but if I'm talking to an entrepreneur, I say, so what do you do? It's like, I help people get rich. They go, oh, that's interesting. Well, how do you do that? Well, I help you grow revenue. And I do it faster than whatever. I think, well, how does that work? I said, well, I look at what you're not doing, and we figure out how to do that in your business. And they go, oh, that seems simple. I said, it's not.
Yeah. I would love to know your opinion. What are the main mistakes that your clients do to not grow their business?
So I think I said the first one, which is they do stuff that they're not in love with. That's one of the things that they do. But again, setting that aside, the reason that's a problem, by the way, is if you're doing stuff that you're not in love with, you're not going to do everything possible to make it work because you're not in love with it. Right? You're just doing it. So to me, that's a really big issue, and I spend a lot of time with that. But then what most people do is they get stuck doing whatever they're doing, and that's a gigantic mistake. Or they have one marketing channel. I had a client who was doing millions. We built his business up quite a bit over the course of a year, and he was doing millions and millions using AdWords. And his only distribution channel, his only lead generation channel was Google AdWords. And one day Google shut off his account. And the revenue went from 15 million a year to 2.5 million a year.
Whoa.
Overnight. Literally overnight. He woke up one morning and went like that. They went from hundreds of orders a day to something like 30 orders a day. Just like that. So it's a huge mistake. One marketing channel. Being dependent, it's like all the internet marketers whose business is all based on joint ventures. And it's like, well, or product launches. We were talking about product launches yesterday. It's like, well, in a lot of markets, that's not working anymore. You can't do those things anymore. And if that's your sole source of business, if you haven't built up a steady state source of business, then you're screwed, right? Yeah. Another really big problem for people trying to grow their businesses on a solid, sustainable basis is they focus either on their existing customers or they focus on new customers. And what they don't do is take care of both at the same time. Right, a strong business, one that's going to really be valuable down the road, is going to have all of its core needs taken care of by its existing customer base. So the customers are always buying something new. We're always offering them something new. We're always developing and fully monetizing the existing customers. And then all your new profits are coming from your growth, right? All your new customer base. And if you don't do both of those, you don't have a sustainable business. So I think those are some pretty big issues. Doing what you were doing, whatever you're doing before, and not looking for new ways to do it. Staying with one channel and not developing multiple channels. How many marketing channels should you have? I think 4, 5, 6, 7, as many as you have the resources to develop. Because then no matter what happens out in the world, your business continues to grow. And then the third piece is that they neglect either their existing customers or their new ones. One of my clients right now is a very healthy business, and it's a small business, $4 million business, and it's healthy, but it doesn't grow, and it doesn't grow because this guy only takes new business, and he doesn't monetize the existing customers, so it's always like one and done. New customer comes in, they buy the initial product, maybe they upsell themselves because over time they want more and they might buy some more, but nobody cultivates that. So they don't actually grow the customer base by design. They only bring in new customers. And then there's one more thing, which is at one time, and I'm going way, 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 way back before either one of us was alive, there was only selling, right? There was only salespeople making sales. And I think what's happened, and this is particularly true for internet marketing-based businesses, businesses that are selling online, is they've neglected the whole idea of a sales force. They don't sell. They want to market. They want it to be passive income there. Like everybody has this fantasy of passive income, that like you're going to build this machine and it's going to bring you all the business, right? But nobody's going out and turning prospects into customers through selling. And I think that's a big thing that's missing for a lot of businesses, that they could grow much, much faster if they built sales forces. So those are some mistakes.
Yes. So, for example, for someone like me, a very small company about expertise, you suggest to not only do marketing but also learn to sell products.
No, I suggest, yes, learn to sell, but at the same time, get a salesperson.
Get
I
a
mean,
sales.
think about it. You have things to do here, right?
Yeah.
You want to be on stage. You probably want to write. You are creating product. You're doing videos. You're talking to people. You're networking. You're meeting people. Who's closing deals? Right? You. But meanwhile, your business would grow faster if somebody had as their sole intention building your business.
So you have someone to
Yes. Yeah.
sell speeches.
Well, I actually am not doing that now, but we are selling seminars and we're selling products that way and starting to sell services that way because it grows. It grows the business. I have tried and failed somebody selling speeches, and I know it's doable, and we're starting to think about how to do that again because it is doable.
It is doable. What do you mean?
It can be done. It can be done successfully. That's doable. It's not a real word. It's my word.
Okay.
But see, nobody in English has the nerve to ask, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm used
It
to
can
ask.
be done successfully. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good word. You may use it.
Okay, I will use that.
Yeah.
I would like to know how the people can follow you.
You can go to my website, which is paullemberg.com. It's PAULLEMBERG.com. I'm followable on Facebook. Those are the two main places. Mostly my site. I blog. I do a lot of video posts, a lot of videos, a lot of written posts, and that's a good place to start. You can sign up for my. I have a video series, which is the seven secrets of rapid growth in your business. So that's a good place to start.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, Paul, I have a question for you. It is a serious question. I have a mission, and I would love to help people to kill their business. How they can do that?
Do something you hate.
Okay.
Do something that you have no passion for at all, that every day that you go into work is just painful and misery.
But if there is a business, I did a study, it's okay or not?
Oh, absolutely. Having a business that you don't know anything about is fine as long as you have a passion for it, because you'll develop it. Yeah, I mean, you're an example of this. You develop the skills that you need to do that, so that's fine. But run a business that you don't love.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Run a business that you are, I'm going to go out and say it, run a business that you're just doing for the money. Run a business that that is not going to enrich you and the world that you're in. That's the fastest way to kill a business. Or fall out of love with your business and don't change. That happens. People are in love with their business, and then all of a sudden something happens out in the world, and they wake up one day and they're no longer in love with it, and they keep doing it for 20 more years. It's a way to have a miserable business, a bad business, and it's a way to have a miserable life. Perfect. I don't want to do anything that doesn't give me a good business and a good life. If I don't have both, it's like, why bother?
Great. I love that.